things in the preamble, how I define key things, how do I make use of my notes, which are, I have to say, quite extensive. Okay, so the notes will come in a few areas. Okay, number one, if you are looking at what you need to memorize for definitions, okay, there's no shortcut. If you define allocative efficiency in a very in your own words kind of way, you could be penalized, right? Likewise for your macro goals. Okay, so definitions, you need to be very clear. Number two, how you explain factors needs to be very clear as well. When I say factors, what do I mean? Right from the start, demand and supply. Okay, how did you explain factors that affect demand, factors that affect supply? You know, we can't just say when income goes up, demand goes up. You have to say things like, we assume this is a normal good, YED is more than 0, and then you have to define YED. Okay, so demand and supply factors. Okay, then the factors like in the world of macroecons, AD and AS factors, those things there is no compromise on. Okay, next one, third one, explaining shifts in the diagram. Okay, so when you talk about a shift in your diagram, let's say a shift in AD and a shift in AS, like I said before, you need rigor as well. Okay, so when AD increases like that, take a look at your own answers. How did you explain this shift? Did you just say AD shifts from AD1 to AD2, so national income goes up from Y1 to Y2? Not enough. What about the multiplied increase? Okay, and if this is an essay, you need even more rigor. Okay, so definitions, explaining your factors, explaining the shifts. There's one more. Okay, how you explain theories. Okay, so I'm collating those parts that require memory work to give you a clearer sense of when you need to refer to your school notes. So when you explain theories, in the whole syllabus, we have quite a number of theories. Number one, you have the theory of firm. I say number one because this is microecons. Okay, it's also number one because this is the topic you all just covered. Theory of firm means you have to explain why profit max firms produce where MC equals to MR. Okay, you can check my book, it's under page 40. Okay, it's not just saying, oh, where the rising MC cuts MR, this is equilibrium output. You have to go further. Okay, they don't produce to the left because they do not produce to the right because. Okay, theory of firm is the first one. Let's not forget the multiplier theory. Okay, so the multiplier theory is where a shift in AD results in a more than proportional increase in national income. You need that as well. Okay, the third one, theory of CA. So when you explain theory of CA, you realize you memorize numbers. Theory of the multiplier, you memorize numbers. Theory of the firm, you memorize the diagram. Okay, so in these three cases, you need assumptions. Okay, thank you. Okay, you need assumptions and you need, okay, your theory, or I shall call it analysis. Analysis means numbers, okay, like for this one and this one. It could mean diagrams as well. Okay, so theory of the firm, you have to use the downward sloping revenue curves to explain. Let's not forget multiplier theory, you can use AD and AS to explain. Okay, so AD rises this much, and then by a smaller amount, by an even smaller amount, and so on. Theory of CA, I showed you a PPC approach. Some schools use it, some schools don't. Okay, but I exposed you to this before. Okay, so just in case you're wondering what are we doing now, right? I'm showing you how to make use of your school notes. Okay, the main things you want to extract from your school notes, then toss the notes aside and move forward with your structuring skills. Follow? So your school notes contribute definitions, explanation of factors, explanation of diagrams, and very specific theoretical explanations. Okay. So notice what I did here. I attached assumptions to the various theories. Okay, but assumptions are also relevant elsewhere. In the world of demand and supply, we always assume what? This one you all should know. Oh, very good. Yeah, you assume ceteris paribus holds. Correct? In the world of market failure, we assume that when the government taxes or subsidizes a good, it's always set equal to EMC as measured from the socially efficient level, right? Okay. T&S is a tax/subsidy. Okay. Can Then in macroecons, we assume a lot of things. Okay. And when I say a lot of things, these things relate to the elasticity values. Okay. So when you say that there's a change in inflation rate relative to another country, okay, in that case we have to assume PEDX exceeds 1. Remember? And when we assume a change in exchange rates, we typically assume the Marshall-Lerner condition, right? Except that in Hwa Chong, right, instead of Marshall-Lerner, they tend to say we assume PEDM exceeds 1. Why? Because they consider everything in terms of domestic currency. Then if you assume global recession, we tend to say we assume the YED of your exports is greater than 0. Then you can say global recession hurts the country. So what you notice, a lot of macro assumptions relate to a change in net exports. Okay. So as you are revising, just pay attention to these assumptions for 3 reasons. Okay. Assumptions are those wonderful little seeds that you plant into your essay. Why? Because the seeds will germinate, they will grow, and then you can harvest the fruits. Okay. What do I mean by that? You can take this down first, okay? So the thing about assumptions is, number 1, they are part of content. In fact, they are part of your explanation. If you remember, I said we tend to explain the diagram and assumptions. So when you bring in assumptions, you're going to get some content rigor, some content marks. You can try if you talk about change in exchange rates, you don't talk about elasticity, the examiner will put a question mark. PD, okay? So they are asking for this. This is not about antithesis, this is content rigor. Which means in part A, this is needed as well. Okay? So they get you content rigor marks. Number 2, same thing. You can give examples to support your assumptions. So I always say, right, if you're talking about PEDX greater than 1, don't stop there. Go one step further to say, in Singapore this is likely because in Singapore we export electronics, but other countries also do the same. So there are substitutes. YED is more than 0 in Singapore because we export normal goods. Okay? Give examples, high-end pharmaceutical products. So this is actually about content, but this also gives you some context. Okay. So if I tell you that something is relevant, I always have to point out which part of the marking scheme it comes under. Okay. Finally, assumptions play another role. Evaluation. Because what happens when you challenge your assumptions? when you challenge your assumptions, aka when you challenge your own analysis, you will get evaluation marks. Okay? Just look back to your demand and supply essays. The last time you challenge ceteris paribus, you say it doesn't hold, something else could have changed, you probably got an E there. Or in the world of market failure, oh, the government may not set the right tax or the right subsidy. The government could overtax, over-subsidize, aka government failure. You get evaluation marks as well. Okay? Or when you say things like, oh, the Marshall-Lerner condition may not hold, okay? You are setting up your essay for evaluation marks. Hence, I said, pay attention to assumptions in the notes. Okay? Because they are these wonderful little things that help you score in more than one place. Okay? It's a bit like splash damage when you play games. Okay? Now, can you close up the gap in the door? Thanks. Thank you. Okay. Any questions here? 5-6 years ago, when kids run up and down this corridor, it doesn't really create any problem. But now they are getting heavier, so noisier. Huh? You notice? I don't think it's the same kid, no? Different kids running around. You feel the first steps. It's a sign, okay? Spillover cost. Ken? Literally dead weight loss, huh? Sorry? Oh, Marshall-Lerner condition. Marshall-Lerner condition is when you sum up PEDX and PEDM. Okay, but in Hwa Chong, instead of Marshall-Lerner, they just look at PEDM because they consider everything in terms of domestic currency.